One commissioner stepped out.
Yes.
Let's do glasses. When you share the screen, I think
Both of you both get new glasses.
She's so.
windows.
I did. New readers.
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
And I also pulled up.
People always like, you get new glasses? It's like, no, nope.
Nope.
Depends on what I'm wearing. It's probably next
It's really
year.
lay out
Next
each other. That's it, yeah.
The screen.
Yeah, people have a reader for because they can never find them.
It's just whatever you see.
Alright, I think on your mind.
No, oh, each one at every like location.
We've got one in his office, one in his home, one in the car.
Close that up.
Like, these are the others, he's got one in that for himself. I mean, it has at least six actually.
And you would think I would keep a pair of the office, but I don't, because I always carry it with me. But when I forget,
It
I'm
matters.
writing on blind at work, and somebody said, "Why aren't you keeping readers at your office?" It's a good idea.
Next time we have some change order in that, we'll wait until he goes and does glasses.
Yeah.
Please approve today.
It is, yes.
Something I do is.
Are you ready? When you're ready.
Our, when you're ready to hit record. And then we're recording. But yeah, professional. Yeah. And then
All right, this is the call to order. This is the Durham Village Commission hearing. Today is February 5th, 2025. It is 4:01 PM. We're here at 111 Front Street, second floor, room 204. The next business meeting will be Wednesday, February 19th, 2025 at 12 noon. Same building, same floor, but next door, room 205. And the next hearing will be Wednesday, March 5th, 2025 at 4 PM. Here at 111 North Front Street, second floor, room 204. Go ahead and swear in staff. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and the truth,
I do.
and your name.
Nick Urson.
Thank you very much. And commissioners present,
Ned Thiel.
Anthony Hartke, chair.
Rachel Schultz, Karen McCoy.
Epian.
Do we have public forum?
No items.
Public forum. We'll move on to the staff approvals, which begin on page 6 of your agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I have no recusals.
He recused myself from COA 2400544 386 Jackson Street.
I have no recusals.
You?
I have one that in the recuse. I can find the number.
Oh, sure. Take your time.
I have to recuse myself from 11 COA 2500018.
Mr. Chairman, I move to ratify the staff approvals.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. And then the minutes from last meeting of January 2nd, 2025.
And I move so to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Moving on to the applications for certificates of appropriateness. Let the record show Commissioner Durst is now at the table. Item 1, COA 2400552 670 South Grant Avenue.
This application was withdrawn by the applicant prior to the hearing.
Very much. Moving ahead to item number 2, COA 2400618 242 East Beck Street. Come on down. You're both settled if you raise your right hands. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, yes.
Your name, sir?
Jamie Rupp.
Thank
Are
you.
you, Mark Stalzer?
Thank you.
So sorry. This application is a request for action that was continued for landscaping. In the rear yard to remove most of the existing landscaping elements, including lawns, walkways, and small plantings. To install new bluestone walkways in the lawn and new brick patios. To install new plantings per the submitted site plan, and to remove the existing railroad ties and replace with limestone retaining walls. This application was continued at the January hearing due to the applicant's absence, and the commission provided preliminary feedback, concluding that the porches and raised porch flooring would likely be considered an important architectural characteristic and should be retained. Some commissioners suggested raising the grade of the patio as a possible solution. The application was also reviewed conceptually in December 2024. There are comments printed in the staff report and on your agenda, but they have all been altered. So I won't read the comments now, but they are there if you want to see that, and I can read them later if they're needed. After the conceptual review, the applicant submitted a more simplified landscaping plan with no masonry walls. HPO staff have identified no major concerns with the overall landscaping plan as it returns the yard to a simpler landscaped area with more permeable green space and appropriate plantings. At the time of the last review, the applicant proposed removal of the 2 existing porches and the conversion to brick patios, but the applicant has now revised their application to retain their porches at their current height. Staff does recommend approval with no recommendations to be submitted to staff. The basis of the recommendation is City Code 31613, standards for site improvements A and B. The German Village guidelines on walks, sidewalks, driveways, patios, and parking lots on page 125, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the German Village guidelines on fences and walls, 2, 3, 5, and 7.
Thank you. Anything else to add? Any questions, comments from the commission?
Just glad you revised your application and kept the porches.
Thank you.
I do have one question. If you can go to the photo page. Poor timing. And go to any one of the pictures, but I think 14 or 24 would be the example. There are, looks like wrought iron finials on top of the wood fence.
Yes.
Is that there when you purchased the house, or is that added?
We will be stripping those.
Okay.
Because that is not, yeah.
Okay, I just didn't.
There's also railroad ties mounted to the exterior of the house that we'll also be taking off.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that are not right.
Okay, I just,
One thing of clarity, we were very much opposed to having the gauntlet of wood fencing that's around the house. And so we're now looking, we've discussed off the side as of like the last few days, we'd like to review that discussion for going with the 6-foot wrought iron fencing all the way around in place of those, in those positions. Is that acceptable?
we probably need to see a cut sheet of the proposed wrought iron fence, but commissioners, anybody have any opposition to?
They'd be in the same style as the 3-footers there across the front.
Yep, things definitely open for discussion.
I would say the guidelines typically state that wrought iron is appropriate to use plantings for screenings.
We would.
In lieu of solid panels.
Yeah.
So I don't think there'd be any pushback.
It just depends where.
They would be same place as the current wood fencing that's on the house. It'd be like for like in the sense that same positions. It actually would probably be a little bit less than what you see there because the wood overlaps the house there. You can see in that one middle picture there.
Yeah.
We don't want to go over the house like that. We'd like to cut it short. Basically stop it where the porch is. If that sounds or looks right.
Oh, I see.
Stop it where the brick ends.
You wouldn't hear
We would carry it 3 feet forward.
Yeah.
And we do want to place and or other greens on both sides of that fence. So the fence is also relatively obscured.
I've got no issue.
I have no issue.
Just seeing a good shape.
So with that, would you like to amend your application to include that replacement of that portion of the wood fence with a 6-foot wrought iron gate?
Yeah.
To match the wrought iron that is nearby?
Yes.
And then also to add to remove the finials on top of the wood fence.
Absolutely.
All right, any other questions or
Could you reiterate that again? What we're amending this for?
amending to have that portion of the wood fence?
This is on the east side?
On the east side,
Yes. Alley side.
between, on the back part of the house.
Okay.
It would not be removed where the trash corral is between the two
Just
garages.
this section right here along the alley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That first section you see.
6 foot high, matching the same style as the lower one?
Yes,
Okay,
same wrought iron design.
okay. Thank you.
And just to be double.
We want to do the same thing between the two homes of what is currently 232 and 242. That basically extends to the backyard to also replace that solid wood fencing.
Let's do it this way. Can you go to the plan view, please? First page. So we're talking about
Yeah, exactly.
but this fence that starts here.
That one would be changed to the wrought iron, 6 foot,
Garage.
all the way across.
And you said over.
And then, yeah, yes.
Which
Keep-
one?
That,
Oh, you're
not
lucky.
there. Here, it's easy to do that.
Section?
This section right here is also 6 foot of wood right here that we want to turn to the same type of iron. So
Yeah.
basically,
Okay.
Okay,
Very
thank you. Yeah.
and we'd also do planting so there wasn't just a clear straight shot view through.
Mr. Chairman, on application COA 2400523, 242 East Beck Street, I move to approve as amended by the applicant with the inclusion of 6 foot high wrought iron fence to match the existing fence in front of the property, as shown along the alley and across the back.
Second.
Any question on the motion? All those in favor?
Uh,
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you much. Thank you. Right, moving ahead to item number 3, COA 2400420, 192 Thurman Avenue. Raise your hand. That's just swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
And your name?
Mark Hours.
Thank you. Nick?
This application is a request for action that was continued for landscaping. It's a fence demolition to demolish the existing wrought iron fence from the south front yard on Thurman Avenue, on the Thurman Avenue street side. Staff analysis, the following is from the approved November 2024 GBC hearing minutes, where the application was continued. Commissioner comments. The commissioners concluded that they would not be supportive of removal of the fence with no appropriate replacement proposed. Some commissioners determined that more documentation for the fence's condition and inability to be repaired would be required before they would support removal of the historic material. The commission emphasized that the other ironworks companies could be contacted to provide an assessment on the repair of the existing fence. The applicant must demonstrate the fence is deteriorated beyond repair before the commission would support a like-for-like replacement. And the commissioners present for the pending site visit will also evaluate the fence's condition. And that site visit was conducted in November of 2024. After the November hearing, the applicant has submitted a more detailed condition report from an ironworks company, which is in your materials packet. And at the February business meeting, the commission recommended the applicant prepare a suitable replacement proposal, which the applicant confirmed they will be prepared to discuss his application as submitted at the hearing. Per City Code 31614 standards for demolition. Demolition of a historic or contributing property or architectural feature constitutes an irreplaceable loss to the quality or character of a listed property or district. And demolition applications must demonstrate that the structure or architectural feature is not historically or architecturally significant or otherwise worthy of preservation, and the reasons the applicant is to demolish the same. HBO staff have determined that portions of the fence are not repairable and would recommend the applicant consider suitable replacement options over the demolition and removal with no replacement of the fence. Staff recommends the commission continue the application to allow time for the applicant to provide a suitable replacement fence proposal. And the basis for that recommendation is 311613, standards for site improvements A and B. 311614, the standards for demolition. And the German Village Guidelines for Exterior Considerations, Fences and Walls on page 117, and then recommendations 1 through 8.
Anything else to add?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, if you'll remember, we contacted Fort Ironworks. We were told they wouldn't touch it. We then asked our colleagues at B. Hall Sampson Dietz for a recommendation because they seem to be doing a lot of tinkering with wrought iron. They introduced me to Van Beckett at Forge. He gave me a blanket. I can't fix this. I can build you a new one. Dismissed that. I eventually found Mr. Beeler, who is an expert iron worker. He teaches at the Career Center. Teaches welding and blacksmithing. I convinced him, finally, I found someone who was willing to give me a detailed investigation of the parts that I have. The conclusion that he came to is that there are 2 sections of the fence that he could salvage. They're both on the side, not on the front. The gate is also somewhat in a salvageable situation. The way we're looking at this is we're significantly less than 50% of this fence. And the idea of trying to Frankenstein 3 pieces into some Disneyland version of what was there just doesn't seem right to me. You're going to end up with old and new and mixed. So I'm here armed with this ammunition that more than 50% of this fence is gone. I want to ask for your permission to demolish it.
All right. Questions from the commission?
Demolish and replace it.
I would like to make the landscaping approval of what happens later a different conversation, if possible. I mean, ideally, in full transparency, we would like to not have a fence. If this fence could be repaired, I would repair it. But the landscape solution that I would present would be unlikely to have a fence in it if I could not have a fence. If the commission's disposition was that they agreed the fence can't be repaired, but they're uncomfortable making that statement until they see the replacement, then I would continue the application until such time that I can design the yard.
I feel like I would want to see what is going to be replaced in order to approve demolition. I mean, I concur that it's not repairable, but in terms of just granting demolition without
Sure.
knowing what's going to happen, that's our time with that.
Yeah, I agree.
I second that also. Third it, or fourth it.
Yeah. So if there's consensus that I could get a staff letter saying that the consensus in this meeting was that the fence potentially could be removed pending approval of what goes back in its place. Is that?
That demolition would be approved contingent upon acceptable replacement.
And in your mind, does that mean a fence or that just means the yard design in general?
Fence.
Okay, so does everybody concur with that sentiment that it would have to be a fence? I saw two nod yeses.
I do.
Okay. So that being the case, and I do think I would like for you to take action on the application as submitted, and if we have to come back with a fence, we'll resubmit.
All right. That said, is there a motion?
So this is strictly for demolition. So on item COA 2400420 Thurman Avenue, application number 3 for granting permission for the demolition of the fence, I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Are there any questions on the motion? Is it contingent upon replacement of the fence?
He's just asking for demolition, is my understanding. Correct?
I only asked for demolition of the fence. I think you all gave me your disposition that you would want a replica fence in its replacement.
Or similar.
Yeah, so I understand your position.
Yeah.
That said, I don't think I could vote for just straight demolition without that statement of the motion.
I'm assuming it's not going to pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay. Any questions on the motion?
But didn't you want to continue this?
That's where I'm
When
thinking.
you,
No, I don't
No.
think he does.
He
I only
wants
wanna
final
get-
word on it.
I'm only willing to continue if you're willing to accept the fence can be removed, subject to me presenting a yard design for further review in the future, but if the fence comes out, I don't want to put a fence back.
Okay.
So you only want to continue it if you don't have to put a fence back.
That's correct. I would rather you act on this now, and if I come to the end of my road and have to put a fence back, I will start over.
Very good.
Okay, so we got a motion, we have a second. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? All those against?
Aye.
Nays have it. Give reasoning for the denial of debt.
Because it's historically and architecturally significant regardless of its condition, and it should be restored or replaced.
And I would reference, City Code Section 3016.14, standard for demolition. And, oh, where is my staff report? Yeah.
3116.14.
There you go. Standard demolition.
Are there any sections of the guidelines?
I'm looking right now. So go with, page 117, item 1. Three. That should do it. All right. Moving on to item 4, COA 250022, 192 Thurman Avenue. Let the record show that one applicant is still on the
Yeah.
Record.
Mr. Chairman, I do have another witness with me.
You raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Your name is?
Mark Mason, APCO.
Thank you.
This is a request for action for an exterior building alteration for changes to an improved designs. The applicant proposes to retain the Marvin Ultimate as the approved replacement for the existing primary structure. And that application was approved in November 2024 GBC hearing. But now proposes to install other Marvin windows on the approved addition and the new carriage house from one of the following 2 options that have been proposed. To either install the Marvin Elevate on the improved addition and for the new carriage house construction, or to install the Marvin Essential on the approved addition and for the new carriage house construction. Noting the Marvin Essential is not currently on the approved window list. At the February business meeting, the commission requested the applicant plan to bring physical window samples to the hearing, and the applicant confirmed. HBO staff note that the Marvin Elevate window is on the approved window list, but is currently approved only for new construction in German Village. With that in mind, HBO staff find that the Elevate window is likely appropriate for the new carriage house, as the carriage house is completely new construction. The Marvin Essential is not on the approved list and has not been recently reviewed for use by the commission for the German Village District. Staff recommends approval of all the clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval with the following conditions. And that condition being the applicant is amended for the Marvin Ultimate to be the approved and selected window or another comparable window from the approved list for the addition to the primary structure and the primary structure itself. But the Marvin Elevate window is used on the carriage house, as the carriage house will be completely new construction and that does follow the currently approved window list. The basis for the staff recommendation is City Code 31611, standards for alteration. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, and 12, and the German Village guidelines for windows 1, 5, and 6.
Before we get to the applicant, clarification, staff's recommendation is approval if the application is amended for the Marvin Ultimate, which is not on the approved windows list.
Sorry, the Marvin Ultimate is on the approved windows list. The staff recommendation is that the Marvin Ultimate be used for the primary structure, which is not proposed to be changed at this time.
Okay.
In addition to the primary structure, but then the Elevate for the
Okay.
carriage house, which both things would follow the approved window list.
I got
Okay.
sideways on the bullet points. Got
The
it.
names also
Yeah.
confuse me sometimes.
Thank you. All right.
So, Mr. Chairman, if we could we focus on the Elevate conversation and then circle back to the Essential, because they're They're kind of completely different, right? One's on your approved one list and one is not.
Sure.
I wasn't here for when you guys chose to put the elevate window with the asterisks. You're the only historic district with the asterisks. It doesn't make any sense to me that the carriage house could have a fiberglass window and the addition can't, when the architecture of those two relate and the primary structure does not. It seems more intuitive to me that the fiberglass could be on the new construction pieces, particularly given the architecture in this instance, and the ultimate window be on the primary structure. So that's my first ask is, can you explain to me or help me work through why I can't have the fiberglass window on the addition?
Could I clarify about the approved window list?
Sure.
The Pella Impervia is the fiberglass I believe the applicant is referring to, and that is only approvable on casement windows. And I don't have the historic reasoning from the 2019 changes to the approved window list, but the Pella Impervia, which is fiberglass, would not be permitted on a double hung window on any structure.
Thank you for that clarification. I think that note actually is more for the essential, which we're going to talk about as a separate issue. This is the correct one, right?
Yep.
This is the elevate window. It's wood interior, fiberglass exterior.
I think I could see what, if I remember the conversation from back in the day, I believe it's partially jam liner, but if you look at the sash itself, the corner of the window sash,
Mhm,
where
the miter.
typically the joints, you see butt joints on sashes of wood window style, as opposed to a mitered corner. I think that was one of the talking points that we had
Yeah.
back then.
So I have two double hung windows that are not in the primary structure that I would be comfortable making ultimate windows because they face the street. The rest of the windows are either picture windows or casement windows. So these issues would be less of a concern at that point. Is that ultimately the issue, is the double hung window was what was driving it, or are there other detailing issues beyond?
So the detailing was typically because double hung with the pocket, not matching colors, which is kind of gone by the wayside since then. With the double hung windows, we don't use them on the primary structure because the details don't quite match historic double hung windows.
And that makes sense.
On the additions, and again, I'm going back in time here in the brain,
Understood.
it was the additions being public way, public view. We typically don't approve casement windows on additions typically.
Sure.
With historical design patterns.
Yeah. So if you look at that elevation on the left is the front elevation.
Sure.
There are two double hung in the addition that face the street. I think my application had said primary structure is ultimate and addition is something else. I'd be willing to make those two double hungs that face the street be part of the ultimate package. The only window that faces the street is that one in the clear story tower next to the door. The rest of the windows are in the side yard and the rear yard and on the carriage house. So is there any consideration for the Elevate product, given the circumstances of the architecture and the sightlines from the public way?
I'll speak for myself with not having double hungs on the addition. I think that changes the conversation a bit. I think it may open up the opportunity to that. Because we're not trying to mimic or replicate the historic form
Right.
of the window framing components. The commissioners have a say.
Do any of you want to see this up close?
Still be the same color.
They'll be black, yeah.
Yeah, we can have
This
a
is just a matter of detail.
So basically, for the really modern looking windows, the fiberglass, you're doing this more traditional double hung, stick with the wood altar.
What's your question?
This is a matter of material and detail. Is that what this is all about?
Yep.
I mean, I'm trying to figure what I can live with. I mean, right now, the guidelines say ultimate for the addition completely all the way around, for the building primary all the way around. And elevate for the carriage house. That's what it is. Whatever. So how do we deviate from that?
I think My path to deviation is the fact that the siding materials being chosen is not the historic siding materials. If we're not going with double hungs, I think that opens up to a different style of window to speak to that portion.
Yeah, there's no traditional detailing here. There's no casings, there's no, yeah.
So the caveat is the fact that it's
Modern windows for modern.
modern windows for modern surfaces and forms. Okay.
Correct.
I mean, we gotta knock it, we gotta tie it down. We're gonna do it.
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Those circumstances.
Okay.
If the commission is interested, I mean, I don't know how you are doing test cases anymore, but we'd be happy to be,
I've got a comment for that.
Yeah.
We've got test cases where we have not gotten the answers back yet. I do
Understood.
not want to go there right now.
understood.
That's
Okay,
like, just,
fair enough.
I noted that.
Yeah,
I'm on the position of we prove it for this application, for this type of design,
Mhm.
this scenario.
Yeah.
I don't see this type of design being a commonplace throughout the village to the point where we
Yes.
necessitate if we have something like this again.
Right.
We would address it case by case.
But it's a precedent that I would support somebody if they came to me and said, hey, this is this here and now. And I would say, yes, and I agree that you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Therefore, you can deviate in the same way.
Agree.
All right.
Does the commission have any comments or requirements on window trim with the use of this window on addition?
With respect to the addition work,
Well, just because it's a different window type, if there's any alterations or changes to the appearance of any window trim that you have for this.
it's what he's showing, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to make
Yeah,
sure
it would not
window
change.
trim has been a conversation for other
Yeah,
replacement applications.
yeah,
It would
Yeah.
not change the COA that's already been issued.
yeah. That's, yeah.
Okay, great.
And for my reference, let me see the sample again. So the sizing of this is accurate, right? Whereas the traditional window form, double hungs, they have a taller bottom piece versus sides.
Certainly here.
Maybe it's one. I did, it's good shoot.
You have a problem. You want to see the cut sheet?
Yeah, it'd be great.
Sure. Just a second.
It's stuck into here.
Are you looking for a specific?
I think those might be the cut sheets for the essential.
Yeah.
But I didn't submit additional information for Elevate because it was already on the list, just asterisked.
Second. And that may have been part of the asterisk back in the day as well, is making sure the dimensions of the window components
Sure.
match historic. Obviously, in this case, different design. I'm not holding you to historic dimension. Sure.
There are examples of this product already in German Village. One's on a house that my firm executed on Lathrop. It was new construction, but
Is that the five
yeah,
up on the alley there?
yeah, correct. It's one block below Livingston, yeah. I mean, that's one that I know of. I'm sure you probably sold other product in German Village, right? So.
All right, I think I got what I need.
And
Let
in
me
the,
try to put together a motion.
actually, before we do this, can we take the second half?
Sure.
Unless you guys want to break them in two because you might end up acting differently, but
Let's just take a look at this one and we'll decide if we gotta break it.
yeah, do you want to make a presentation relative to the
Sure.
essential?
Yeah, so currently, the pellet impervious on the approved list. Marvin, through some rebranding and what have you, has a similar product that is all fiberglass that we want to bring to your attention. And I brought a sample of that. Difference being, this is an all fiberglass product inside and out. And I also brought some cut sheets between the two manufacturers.
This is the other one that's running replaced.
So this,
That's the essential.
Yes.
Yeah, so sorry for the confusion. I applied for both,
Mm-hmm.
right? So depending on how the conversation goes relative to the essential, we may or may not keep that as part of the application.
It is HBO staff's understanding that the essential, the rails and stiles are of the same dimension, which is not typically the historical, historic construction, or historic appearance of the window. Just for your conversation.
Would that, Nick, would that be in a double hung? Is that what you're? Because in the casement, they would have to be the same, right?
Are they exclusively casement on the carriage house and?
Casements are the only.
Yeah, again, it would be the same, it would be all non-double hung windows for the carriage house and the addition. It would be picture and casement windows only.
Oh, thank you.
Using the essential.
Either, right? I guess what I'm wondering is, would you be comfortable with either? Or one or the other? I'm on a fishing expedition.
Essential hasn't even been run by HBO or anybody yet. I'm not willing to take that off. That's just me. So,
yeah, I would,
stretch a little too far for you.
I want to see the full sample window versus the corner.
Do you want to see the product catalog? He's got product literature.
So the process that we did last time, we had the full
Oh, I
family
see.
windows
Yeah,
in
yeah.
hand, side by side to compare with other things.
Understood.
Seeing a corner is one thing, but we don't get to see the full picture. So I would want to see that full sample in order to get a non-approved move to the
Fair enough.
Would you want me to bring the window that's approved as well as the other?
So it would be good to have the two comparisons to see side by side.
Certainly.
Is there value if I can get this? Is there value?
These are held by HBO.
The.
We
the-
recommend to.
On a case-by-case basis for the installation on a specific property, but that does not add the window to the approved window list, and the HPO is not considering alterations to the list at this time.
Still too much of a stretch for me.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to amend my application to remove the essential line from consideration and ask you to provide action on the application for elevate windows and non-double hungs for the addition in the carriage house.
Non-double hungs and casements?
Casements and picture windows
Okay.
and awnings. I guess typically they have an awning window. Yes. It's easier to say non-double hungs
We'll stick with that. Okay.
or non-hung if you're, there are no single hungs.
Just fall to the ground.
All right. Give it a shot. On COA 2500022 Thurman Avenue, this is a request to substitute different windows than what is standard. So this is to approve as submitted with the install the Marvin Elevate on non-double hung windows on the addition and the carriage house, correct?
Correct.
The basis for this is the fact that the architectural surfaces and delineation on these aspects of the structure are modern in surfaces, form, and materials. And that is the only reason we're doing this.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Let's have it. Motion passes.
Thank you. Thanks, Ricky.
Okay.
I mean,
Right. Moving ahead to item number 5, COA 2500023. Again, 192 Thurman Avenue, and the applicant is still on the record. Mick?
This is for action for an exterior building alteration for changes to an approved design. Noting the design was approved at the November 2024 DPC hearing. The applicant now proposes to change the slope of the front porch dormer roof to be an upward sloped, and dormer is the not correct word, the clerestory roof there. But changing the siding from the 16-inch to the random, from a 16-inch standard siding to a random width of 8, 12, and 16-inch to follow the submitted drawings. Staff analysis at the February business meeting, the commission requested the applicant provide addresses for all of the example photos and confirm that the siding is the exact same material proposed to be used for this property. And the commission recommended the applicant prepare reasoning and justification for proposing to revert back to the original design. The applicant submitted a revised packet with the addresses for the sample photos. Of the 5 example photos, 1 is in German Village, 1 is in the Brewery District, 1 is in the East Franklinton Review Board, and 2 are in Italian Village. We do know the East Franklinton Review Board is a design review board that operates under a different section of city code than the historic districts, and the historic district's architectural review boards. Additionally, the German Village Guideline has its own set of guidelines distinct from the Brewery District and Italian Village. Per City Code 31612 and passing upon appropriateness, the commission shall consider, in addition to other pertinent factors, the architectural characteristics typical of structures in the district or listed property, the historical or architectural value and significant, architectural style, general design, arrangement, texture, material, and color of the architectural features involved in its relation, to the architectural features of the other contributing properties in the immediate neighborhood. HBO staff recommends the commission focus their conversation around the context of Thurman Avenue and German Village and the existing conditions of the property. With that in mind, there is one example of an upward slope roof provided by the applicant, but there are notable differences between the example and the proposed application. The example is a garage, whereas the currently proposed building alterations are in addition to historic structure and on a primary front-facing elevation of the primary structure, whereas the garage is in addition to a historic garage. The garage slope roof is also the entire roof of the structure, or the addition at least, whereas what is proposed is only one small section, and this says of the garage, but I do mean of the primary structure. The COA for the garage is included in the materials package. Staff recommends the commission continue the application to allow the applicant time to revise their design to be more in line with German Village guidelines. The basis for that recommendation is City Code 31611, standards for alteration 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, and 12. The German Village Guidelines for additions 1 through 4. The German Village Guidelines for siding on page 44 and 46, 1 through 7. The German Village Guidelines for artificial siding on 174 and 175. And the German Village Guidelines 2005 Amendment specifications for artificial siding. And the German Village Guidelines for roof gutters and downspouts. And I apologize, I didn't get the page number for that, but it is a quote from the guidelines in your staff report.
Anything else to add?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, looking at these side by side, I still struggle to find with these 2 subtle issues that we modified. I still struggle to find why they're inappropriate. So I'm back asking on the record for some action on to understanding the 2 issues. Yes, Trissa.
The east elevation as approved, it implies that the long sloping roof continues past the dormer on the elevation, but in reality, it doesn't. It's planar, right? It should break, similar to what you're proposed. So it's like, in my mind, it's still the same dormer. It's just that the slope of the roof went from down to up, but
Yeah, so what you're seeing is the piece beyond. It's there's a step in plan.
okay, yeah. So look at the front elevation. It's like this. It looks still plain.
Yeah, they are not in the same plane. See how the roof is clipped on the front there when it's zoomed in? If you look to the left of what I'll call the clear story window, see the little bit of roof overhang and how it's in front. there's a plain step there. That's why you're seeing that sloped roof.
But doesn't the rake come down, Mark, and then go out along the roof?
On the edge, it does.
Yeah,
But I think what Teresa was seeing is the roof overhang of the mass with the front door in it beyond in the side elevation.
Beyond.
It's beyond, I think it's confusing.
Okay, so it should be like a dash line or something in the back.
No, because it protrudes. It is forward.
yeah, there, right. See, right there, yeah, right there.
Yeah, that line right there is an edge, and then those other lines that you're seeing are beyond. They're in between the primary structure and that face.
So that, what looks like a continuous right from the top
If you-
to the bottom should be dotted.
If you zoom in, I think it is dotted.
Well,
I just think it's not doing a very good job
Yeah,
in PDF of showing up as dotted.
okay,
Or maybe not, maybe the line style got screwed up, but it is dotted. Yes, from there to there, it's dashed.
Visible on the elevator.
okay.
Yes, it should be dashed. It is beyond.
Cool, that's.
And I think, so the roof, up versus down, I think there are plenty of examples in other historic districts where this sort of roof happens. And then with respect to the siding, I think we keep calling it random, but the fact of the matter is it's not random, it's just irregular, right? It's 3 dimensions instead of 1. When I look at the 2 side by side, I think the elevations are doing it a disservice because of the number of lines, which is why I included that example from the East Franklinton Review Board project on Town Street, just to show you, yeah, there's an example of one. It's just the shadows. You just get a different texture. It's just a texture of the facade in terms of the dimensions being 3 different dimensions instead of 1 dimension.
Questions, comments from the commission?
No, we agreed to put a slow slope roof on this and I voted for it. Can I take my vote back?
I don't know. I think I can comment on.
So you used the example of that garage on Macon Alley.
Mhm.
And my point is that an upward sloping roof in German Village has nothing to do with anything that we have here historically or even compatible with, or it's total opposition, and it's a statement to be opposition. My opinion is right now, I think the whole thing would look better without a broken roof at all, okay? Just one roof, get rid of up, down, whatever. So my comment about the garage that you spoke to,
Yeah.
which I've had to answer for many, many times from many, many people, how in the hell did that land in our alley? From my neighbors and people walking through, because even laymen recognize the fact that that does not belong in German Village. And I always have to come back and say, the commission passed it. I don't understand it. I don't tell them I was on the commission at the time and I voted against it, Mark. So that is where I'm with this. I still maintain it is not appropriate. It is alien to the whole language of the village. And even the fact that this is a little skinny thing even makes it more pronounced than the double opposition roofs on that garage.
Okay.
And if a layman can pick it out, that tells me right there.
Okay. And the siding?
Hmm?
And the siding? The dimension of the siding? You have
I can fly with it. I don't care, to be honest with you.
thank you.
Teresa, thoughts?
Well, I guess the change doesn't bother me that much now that I realize it's not that big of a change. Originally, I thought the whole dormer was inset and you could
Yeah.
actually see roof, but it's not. So basically you just
It's
Up the
this,
slope.
this or this.
bigger window.
Yeah, I mean, it'll make my rationale for it is a section of the foyer is better.
So are you making it the same height as the connector or is it actually kind of randomly a little taller than the connector is?
I don't think it really is related to the piece you're describing, the connector at all.
You never see it.
Yeah, I mean, the intent there and the view is to make it subservient to both the primary structure's eave and the duplex's eave. It's a light monitor in the entry hall.
Mr. Schultz, thoughts?
I'd get behind the three irregular ones. I don't agree with the roof popping back up.
Thank you.
Mr. McCoy?
I'm just the opposite. So I'm not a fan of the random ones. I like the, the organization of what was approved. And, I could live with the butterfly roof or whatever slope.
Down the end.
I think I'm okay with the random siding width, but I do agree that I think the little bit of the up roof, it makes the whole appearance more pronounced. Like I wouldn't pay attention to that, but the roof that like pointing up, it just draw your eye into looking at it. It does feel like it's out of place.
But my comments are, I would even throw in, to speak of slope roofs in the village, 567 Lathrop, which is a previous project of yours.
Yeah.
It does have a slope roof. I think the difference here is you have a two-way direction roof as opposed to a single slope component. This isn't really the same thing as one slope garage roof, whether you like that or not, or the 567 Lathrop, where it's a component of a slope roof element. There's not two pieces working against each other. So I'm not in favor of the double action roof there. In terms of the siding, the one example being in East Franklinton, I did look up the East Franklinton guidelines, and their section on siding specifically states that the design ethos of that district should relate to the industrial nature of the neighborhood. And I think that speaks very industrial. I think what got me to approving the vertical siding in the first place was that it was speaking to the board and batten that you see around the village. I don't think a irregularly spaced board and batten would be typical of anything in the village. I don't see it in the village anywhere. I did look. So yeah, that's where I stand on the board, on the vertical siding piece. But I tried looking for examples, tried to find a way to get there. I can't get there on either one myself.
Sometimes someone has to be the first. Mr. Chairman, if I could ask, could we separate this application into the siding and the roof as two separate issues and then act on each? That way we could get an independent count. Would that be acceptable?
I think that's acceptable.
Mr. Chairman, on item COA 2500023-192 Thurman Avenue regarding the siding and the third story roof, I move to separate it into part A, the clear story roof, and part B, the siding.
Right. Any questions, or is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on that motion to split? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. And then for A,
Mr. Chairman, on COA 2500023, part A, change the slope of the front porch dormer roof to be an upward slope. Approve it as submitted.
is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against?
Aye.
Motion does not pass. Before we get to the second one, we will reference German Village Guidelines. I'm going to go page 108. Specifically item number 1 about the rhythm of, scratch that, that's building spacing. It is the item number 3, talking about the design cues from the proportions found on the surrounding structures. And item 4, contribute to the existing rhythm of the adjacent nearby structures. I'm going to say item 6, which speaks to roof shapes and elements reflecting predominant patterns of the buildings in the area and relating to that style of house. Right, item B,
Mr. Chairman, on COA 25000023, 192 Thurman Avenue, Part B, changing the siding from 16 inches to random widths of 8, 12, and 16 inches to follow submitted drawings. I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
any questions on the motion? All those in favor? All those against?
Aye.
Motion is denied. Get to the site. In reference to denial, page 44. Specifically, the second bullet point talking about the dimensions not matching historic material, especially width. Item 6, talking about artificial setting, appropriate widths and configurations. And then under the 2005 amendments, there's a section here that I want to reference. The fourth bullet point, talking about existing structures in the immediate neighborhood. And the 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth bullet points, sixth bullet point about profile and dimension. I think that is it versus all mine. All right,
Could I clarify the vote count on the part A? I just want to make sure that I recorded the votes correctly. I have, 2 votes in favor, and that was Commissioner Durst and Commissioner McCoy, and then all other commissioners were opposed. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure I wrote it down.
good.
Great, thank you for your time.
Moving on to item number 6, COA 2500017174 Nursery Lane. Once you're both settled, you raise your right hands, one each. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Your name?
Dean Billen.
Thank you.
Steve Hurt.
Thank you.
This is a request for action for landscaping for a pool to install a new 12-foot by 23-foot 7-inch fiberglass pool with the bricks around to match the existing patio per the submitted site plan. Staff analysis at the February business meeting, the commission requested confirmation on if any fence alterations would be required for the pools to meet code requirements. And the applicant confirmed there is an existing 6-foot with privacy fence and no additional fencing or screening is required per code. The pool was reviewed conceptually at a 2024 DPC hearing. But the comments from that hearing were focused on exterior building alteration, and the commission had no concerns with the pool. So I apologize for not putting those in here, but the commission has discussed the pool in the past. The staff recommendation, the staff recommends the commission approve the application as submitted. The basis for that recommendation is City Code 11613, standards for site improvements A and B, and the German Village guidelines for site lighting, street furniture, pools, fountains, and gazebos 6. And the German Village guidelines for walks, sidewalks, driveways, patios, and parking lots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Anything else to add?
Not really, because it seemed like nobody had an issue with it last time, so.
And you're good zoning wise?
Mhm.
Because I know there's zoning about pools in front yards. I don't know if this, I don't know if classifieds if not, that's what.
Yeah, I don't know what the city is gonna call the front yard. I think it would be nursery lane.
No idea.
I know, it's.
And I would say just for commission's reference, since we don't see pools too often, the guidelines on page 122 Item number 6 says that, remember, the pools, fountains, and gazebos are not common historically and are discouraged. If such features are installed, they should be kept to the rear of the lot and made as invisible as possible from the street. Consider using landscaping to screen the features rather than walls and fences. There's already existing fence there. We're not adding a fence to screen it. So yes. If there are no objections, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, on COA 2500017, 174 Nursery Lane, I move to approve as submitted.
Multiple seconds. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Great, thank you.
Thanks much. On to item number 7, 643 South 6th Street, COA 2400495. Once you're settled, you raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Your name?
Stephen Cosware.
If you can just make sure you use the mic, speak so we can record it. Nick?
This is a request for action for an exterior building alteration for a siding change. Remove the existing 3-inch vinyl siding and install a new 4-inch vinyl siding from exterior portfolio in one of the following colors. And that is historic dark navy, gray, or dark brown. And then the applicant has also specified trim that would be associated with each of those colors, which is printed in your agenda. Noting, and we know that the structure was constructed in the 1990s, so it is not historic. Staff analysis of the February business meeting, the commission recommended reviewing the sections of the German Village guidelines about vinyl siding, which it says attached here, that was attached in our email to the applicant. And requested the applicant bring a physical sample of the siding to the hearing and ask would the trim be replaced and what is the complete scope of work for the project. The house was constructed in the 1990s with one other primary residence at 651 South 6th Street. And both properties were constructed and approved for, and this is for, they were approved with the 3-inch vinyl siding, so I do apologize there. The siding for the 651 South 6th Street, the neighboring property, was replaced with an HBO staff approval in 2013 with the following specifications, and that is that the damaged vinyl siding was to be replaced with a smooth-faced vinyl siding to match the existing profile and detail. And then the rest is about painting from the specification there. So any deviations in width from the existing condition in 2013 were not approved with that staff approval, but they are now the existing condition of that neighboring property. The staff recommendation is that staff recommends the commission approve the application as submitted, so long as the siding meets the German Village guidelines criteria for our official siding. The basis for that staff recommendation is 3011611, stands for alteration. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, and 12. The German Village guidelines for sidings, page 1, or recommendations 1 through 7. The German Village guidelines for artificial siding, page 174 and 175. And the German Village guidelines 2005 amendment specifications for artificial siding. And that's all.
Anything else to add?
I don't believe so.
All right, questions, comments from the commission?
So the existing siding is how old, 10 years old or?
It's the age of the house, I believe.
It's the neighboring property that was
Yeah.
replaced in 20.
Gotcha, okay, thank you, all right.
And actually, I do have a comment if I could. That one picture you had where they have the two houses side by side. Yeah, that one right there. So mine is the tan and my neighbor's is the green. The houses are identical. I have the original 3-inch siding. Theirs is replaced with 4-inch siding. And there was a comment I saw in the communication about it has to be flat, not textured. And theirs is textured. So if I can't go with textured, there's still going to be like an inconsistency. And then I also, I should have brought this with me, but on the way here, I noted I'm on the northeast corner of our block and on the northwest corner on South 5th Street. The house on that corner has actually more textured siding than what these samples show. So, and it's kind of like a really, and also, I'm sorry, these are two major manufacturers and I contacted them because there was no
I'm sorry, I'm not looking at everybody. They didn't have any flat, smooth samples, and when I called them, they said we have very limited options on those anymore because they're not considered as structurally sound than it is with a slight texture to it. So the color option would be super limited.
And for clarification on that 2013 approval, it was to match the profile. So the neighboring property is not as approved, but it is over a decade at this point, so there would be no code action on that property.
That is. You can see it right there.
So the greenhouse was supposed to just repair the existing siding, but instead they replaced everything.
It was for a replacement, but the replacement was to match the profile of the
They were
existing.
staying orange.
Yeah, so it's a small variation that just,
And I think I know some of the history. They originally had somebody paint the 3-inch siding that they had. And it overnight just incredibly warped so bad. They had to replace it. I think the painter used the wrong type of paint. It was destroyed.
So to go to our guidelines, the 2005 amendment has specific criteria for artificial siding and when vinyl is approvable. There's some stuff in there about vinyl. I think applicable here is the bullet point about proposed exterior cladding for new construction. This is replacing on what we would consider relatively new construction. Single what we use to reflect the variety of material type, color, profile, and dimension of the existing historically cast structures in the immediate neighborhood. I think there is, due to the fact that this is very clearly matching or similar, or if not identical house to the one next door, I think that would be the tightest precedent we would have to try to maintain some similarity. The big piece is under the specifications for artificial siding, the very first bullet point, the finish should be smooth or brushed, never wood grain. I would not be comfortable myself using the neighboring property, having a wood grain, faux wood grain as a precedent. It was done incorrectly.
And it wasn't the basis for approval for that anyway.
Right, so wrong doesn't make right, in my opinion. I do have a question. Are your current trim boards, window trim, door trim, is it all wood currently?
It's all wood, yeah.
Okay. So it should all be wood going back, so if this gets approved, wood. All trim details should go to staff for approval. The next page of that section, first bullet point, to vary the siding and trim color consistent with historic color palette and neighborhood. So I'll let staff determine colors because I am colorblind, so I am not the best arbiter of that. Manufacturer product minimum of 15 available siding colors, which looking for the materials, there is at least roughly 15. I didn't see in the documentation, the cut sheets brochure, which specific siding was being chosen here.
Yeah, I submitted 3 different colors from each manufacturer, and the one I really would like, I thought I had to do multiple in case one wasn't approved. So the one I really want is like that darker navy. So yeah, like
Ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
With white trim?
Yes.
and so the commission's note on color, HPO staff have identified no issues with any of the proposed colors. As you just said, it might be directed to staff, just so you're aware of that.
Which of the siding products are you proposing to use? There are several different products in the literature.
Yeah, I picked there were 3 colors I was targeting.
Not the colors, the actual product itself.
Oh.
There's a premium point, there's a market square, there's the green board.
It's one of these 2.
Okay.
Um,
So
These are two options I have available to me.
Okay.
Manufacturer.
Yeah.
Can I,
Yeah, just, yeah.
can I approach the bench?
Yeah.
So you've got Elijah Mastic, Royal Building,
Right.
So we've got premium point product. We've got Market Square product. Got a Parkview product. We've got an Elm Grove product. There are 4 different products in this literature. Which one's being selected?
Is that a brochure I provided? Or,
Yes, this was the brochure that was provided from the.
I don't,
They're all from exterior portfolio.
yeah, I think,
But, which is what this guy is. These were in the documents.
And the reason I asked is when you get into the sidings, you see the thickness notation on there. There's a 0.042 for that Parkview, there's a 0.044 for the Market Square. Our guidelines require 0.044 or thicker.
okay,
So I just want to make sure that the product you're selecting meets the German Village guideline requirements for thickness. And since it wasn't stated which one, I don't.
For the commission, the only corresponding colors are the Market Square and the Premium. So I'm assuming it's one of those two, because these colors are only available in those two.
and both those meet the thickness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Market Square meets that. So
Yeah.
if the Market Square is the product you're intending to use, that meets that criteria.
I'll use whatever you want.
How about their range? Are they smooth? You know,
Let's check.
Okay.
What, heavy grade on there? It's very grainy.
Mhm.
well, it says in the brochure that Market Square has wood evoking textures.
Beautiful texture grain of forest grown cedar.
I think they both.
So which one comes in smooth? Premium wood?
Doesn't seem to be them.
So that, I think that's where we're stuck right now. All the other criteria have been met. It's the smooth finish versus the textured finish.
Right.
And slippery slope, we start approving textured at this house, we're approving textured on all other applications when they want to replace vinyl with vinyl.
And I understand that point. And then I asked the question, if I were able to find these colors in a smooth thing that meet the thickness, then I'm gonna have 2 identical houses side by side, one with and one without, so. You want consistency or,
So they started out alike,
yeah, they
but
did,
different properties developed differently over time.
yep.
So I don't think there's an expectation that they would be consistently the same as time went on.
Right,
And I would say if and or when they want to replace their siding, they want to go with vinyl, I would personally push for the smooth to replace what is there to make it more appropriate.
right.
That's what the guidelines call for.
Did me,
I was gonna ask, the commission on, as you have the samples in front of you, if any of them have that a brushed appearance that would meet the requirement rather than the faux wood grain, because I don't, the premium point doesn't specify wood grain, so I just wanted to clarify on the sample if it is a wood grain to the record.
one of them had a smooth siding. Is this, but it didn't,
It looks to be only available
5
in
inch.
7 or 5 inch.
but, okay. so
Yeah, that's-
but-
That's the challenge. And if I can,
Gotcha.
Yeah, Smith Glass.
So to me, what this sounds like is if guidelines say smooth. If smooth cannot be source procured from another vendor, then that would be a hardship case or an unusual compelling circumstance, like hardship. Which we would hear upon appeal. We have to vote this down in order for the to rehear it under the hardship condition. And you have to make the case, the criteria of how to make that case. You have to make the case that you can't get a smooth material to match what the guidelines state.
right,
Well, we could continue this and give him the opportunity to.
That would matter.
Define it.
Yeah.
We could continue the application. That keeps you on the agenda for the next month. Gives you time to go and look for another product, another vendor, to see if you can find something that does have a smooth finish and meets the criteria. And that way you won't have to do a whole application.
so I'd come back to another meeting, is that right?
Yeah.
So it can't be approved saying if you can find this color with a smooth surface, then you're good to go with the right thickness. Without having to go through this, maybe submitting, I don't know how the whole process, but
I mean, that would be up to staff to verify that your product that you're submitting is compliant with what the COA says, or an inspector goes out to your projects and says, yeah, what you're putting up is what the COA says, or he says, this is not what the COA says, and you'd come back here and we could probably make you rip it all off.
Right.
Which you don't want to do.
Nick, would you be comfortable if we approve 4-inch vinyl siding, meet the guidelines, the 0.44 thick, smooth finish? Would you be comfortable taking another product and saying that's good?
I mean, HBO staff certainly can. The other option is if the commission would like to consider a subcommittee just to review a new product. And that would allow the applicant, the commission to, have a final review of the
I
material.
think it's just a matter of us saying that it has to be 0.4 and it's smooth finish 4-inch vinyl. And you guys just need to, when he does his submission, the product he submits meets that specification.
And HBO staff can certainly
And that would
review
they
that.
can issue
so-
the COA based on that.
I think it's prescriptive.
I'll get there.
In the addendum. Jeff?
So one case, what if it's only found in 5-inch, then what?
Yep, okay.
Come
Then
back.
you have to come back.
Yeah.
So it's only the 4-inch dimension that.
Yeah.
Okay.
4-inch or 3-inch.
Right, 3.
3 or 4-inch, okay.
Yeah. I'll be surprised if it's not out there.
I think it's less of a case of is it out there versus, the contractors have their selected vendors that they work with, and then we've got to work with coordinating, but
Well,
that's not your
you can tell
job.
your contractor if he wants the job, this is what he has to provide.
I understand.
I get it, but you get leverage.
Yeah, I got it.
Right, is there a motion?
On COA 2400495, 643 South Sixth Street, I move to approve as further elaborated after conversation. That'll be a 0.44 thick vinyl, 4-inch face, smooth, side,
Or 3-inch?
Or 3-inch.
Match with it.
of which the applicant will provide that information to get his COA.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Nick, you got the motion?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you very much, Ben.
And for the applicant, you'll receive a letter next week just stating that, and as soon as you send the product information, we'll process it.
That'll work. Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 8, COA 2400159, 230 Burger Alley. Once you're settled, you raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, live the truth.
I do.
And your name?
Will Alexander.
Thank you. Nick?
This is a request for action for an exterior building alteration. This application is the result of a code violation. That violation number is 2